On the agenda tonight, we're going back to the 1970s. We're going to be taking a look at Tiny Tim, and he's going to be performing Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So, full disclosure, I didn't know anything about Tiny Tim, about his music or his singing before watching the video that we're about to analyse tonight. So, he's not very well known, if known at all, over here in the UK, but I can see that he was very well known over in the USA. So, we will jump into this performance and we will approach it in exactly the same way that we do with every other analysis video. But Tiny Tim is up on screen, so let's see how he gets on.
This song.
Oh, tiptoe through the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Oh, tiptoe from the garden, by the garden, on the willow tree. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. In flowers we'll stray, we'll kiss the showers away, and if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, you'll fall in me and tiptoe through the tulips with me.
And there we have it. So, a bit of a light-hearted video for tonight because, I mean, the way that this is sung and delivered, it is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but there's a lot of vocal technique going on here. I looked into his singing and other performances, and when reading about this singing style or how he knew that he could do this, it's very much the case with lots of singers who have a unique ability, never worked at it. They could just do it. And this is exactly the same thing with Tiny Tim, that he just realised that he could do this, that he had a lower register, which actually we will look at in this video as well. But he had this really high-pitched falsetto sound that he could go to. And now when I say falsetto, this is the other thing. It is really difficult to place this sound because I know that a lot of people think that falsetto is just a term for a high note, especially when guys are singing. But when we're talking about vocal registers, falsetto is a vocal register, as is head voice. And when you hear somebody yodeling, that is them flipping into their head voice. So with Tiny Tim's voice, I mean, it is such a clean connection that he's getting. It is like a female voice. The thing about falsetto as a vocal register is that it's characterized by its breathy sound. So you know that somebody's gone into falsetto because the vocal cords are now further apart. There's a lot more air going through the sound and it sounds very breathy. So it sounds like falsetto. But a head voice is a high note with the vocal cords still connected, and it can be blended with chest voice. You can go up into your head voice. So the thing about this sound, yeah, it's really difficult to place because the sound is so clean, but then you think, well, how can he get these notes so clean if it is falsetto? And again, it goes back to the fact that he said that he could just do this. He doesn't know what he's doing. So if you wanted to have lessons to access this part of your voice, he wouldn't be able to tell you how he does it. It's just something that's natural. And this is the thing about not only singing, but us as humans. We can all do things personally that other people can't do, but we don't really know why we can do them or how we can do them. For example, I can I can bend my arm the wrong way, and I don't know how I can do it. I don't know why I can do it, but I can do it. And it's something that I can't teach somebody to do because generally their arms stop at a particular point. So, I mean, I don't really want to demonstrate it because especially if you're eating, it's not very nice to look at, but because it looks like I've broken my arm. So, and it's my left arm that goes very far past. It's called, I think, hyper extension or being hypermobile, something like that, meaning my joint doesn't stop where most people's joints do. But this is the point, that I can just do that. I haven't learned to do it. I haven't trained. I haven't done stretches for every day of my life. But anyway, back to relating it to singing, because vocal cords are just part of your body, and the way that people use their vocal cords varies from one person to the next, and one person can have control over them to do particular things. Other people can have control over them to get, really low notes, for example, and some guys can do this. They can access notes that are really high up. But in this case, the reason that it is comical is because of how genuinely female the sound is. He's got no body in his sound. So we'll just have a listen to this.
With me.
Interestingly there, at the beginning of that phrase, he actually starts with a lower note and then almost allows his voice to flip into his head voice, and it sounds more like a head voice there than falsetto when talking about vocal registers. But anyway, what we've got here is a C sharp 5, or at least here the G sharp 4 going down to the E4, and the sound we get is like me. That's the pitch. Me. But of course, when I do it, it sounds like a guy doing it because obviously I am a guy, and I can't do this with my voice. I can't make it this thin, and this is why it has that comedic sound to it, because of how thin it sounds. It's not a guy's voice singing these notes, even though the notes that I'm hitting are the same.
With
Me. That is me hitting exactly the same note there. And even if I tried to go me, I still can't get a thin sound that sounds female with my vocal cords and just with my resonance and everything that makes up my voice, my sound, and makes me unique as a human. Another thing that makes this really stand out is the speed of vibrato that we've got, because there tends to be a particular speed that is funnier to listen to. And, let's have a listen to it and listen to the speed of it while looking at the pitch monitoring software.
Oh, tiptoe through the window.
See how closely knit together these lines are. So the vibrato is being, so quickly executed that it has a bit of a funny sound to it. The only thing that I can think of to relate this to is in The Wizard of Oz, where Bert Lahr, who plays the lion, he's singing about, or at least the song is, If I Were King of the Forest, I believe. But in that particular vocal that Bert delivers, he goes from having a really fast vibrato to then a really slow vibrato for comedic effect. And that is what happens. So going from this really quick vibrato to then, a really slow one. And if I was to do it going, it's so over the top that it becomes funny. And the same with going, and doing something that's really fast, going, doing a fast tremolo. It's now not registering as much as singing to the ear. It's sounding something a bit different. And when obviously you pair it with Tiny Tim's voice, not only the notes that he's hitting, but the tone of his voice, when you pair that together with the fast vibrato, it just makes it funny, and you can hear people in the audience laughing as soon as Tiny Tim starts singing. Just to give an example of what I'm talking about, that speed of vibrato can be funny when it's really fast, it can be funny when it's really slow. But if you hit it in the middle, between the two extremes, then it's not really funny. Let's have a listen again. So, if I went, with me, and applied a vibrato in the middle, it sounds more serious and, I don't know, more musical, more like singing. So by doing it really fast, it takes it away from that sound. And actually thinking about the real old-time music, and especially in France, where the vibrato, it sounded like this. It was very fast. I don't think you'll actually hear somebody sing a ballad or a composition with a slow tempo using a fast vibrato. It tends to be with ballads, the vibrato is more on show and it tends to be more controlled to slow it down. Talking about control, we are going to be having a listen to not only the lower register of Tiny Tim's, but we're going to be having a look at his vibrato on the pitch monitoring software.
Earth angel, will you be mine? My darling dear, love you all the time. I'm just a fool in love with you. Earth angel, the one I adore.
So, I mean, we can hear the tone is totally different, obviously, because he's now using his chest voice, the voice that he would normally talk in. You get that male sound to it. And he has quite a covered sound and a little bit Elvis-ish with that approach of, rather than going, Earth Angel, and being quite open, Earth Angel, he's kind of going, Earth Angel, and putting it in that kind of place, just covering the sound a little bit. But most importantly, have a look at his vibrato. This was a good example right at the end. He's got exactly the same vibrato, even though he's singing, a slow tempoed number. A lot of people will know this from Back to the Future, but having this vibrato was something that wasn't by design. So when he would perform in this light-hearted manner, and he certainly did that, just physically putting that into the performances, the vibrato was again a natural thing that he didn't know how to do it. He didn't train this. He just automatically had a really fast vibrato. So it's like pairing these two things together made it sound not only unique, but had that comical side to it. And obviously when he does all the showmanship, that all adds into it as well. And everyone can feel comfortable listening to this, but appreciating it for the comedy sound of it, rather than him performing really seriously and, going into that really high female voice and having the fast vibrato. Because he's approached it in just the right way, it means that, it's great to be able to hear the voice, because it is so different, it's so unique being able to do this with your voice. But just the fact that these things like vocal technique, control of vibrato, he's not controlling this speed, it's just happening automatically. And I haven't seen or heard him sing with a slow vibrato. Another thing to just take stock of at this point is how funny this sounds when he's singing in his lower register. It's now automatically become a lot more serious because of that male sounding voice, and the faster vibrato doesn't have as much of an impact in this range or with this tone than it does when he gets into the female sounding voice. So it's something that really does show how much of the comedy is part of each sound. So a lot of it is just to do with the high voice and the tone, and then adding that fast vibrato in there just, if anything, just exaggerates that female tone and makes it stand out even more. But anyway, let's listen on.
Love you forever and evermore. I'm just a fool in love with you. I fell for you, and
Okay, we're getting it cutting out a little bit. I think that's probably because of the backing singers coming in and the pitch monitoring software, or should I say, the isolating software can't pick up his voice. But let's get the accompaniment going again. I mean, especially in this phrase here, it does sound very much like a head voice. Be the vision. And he kind of goes up into that vision. It's actually more connected than I did. That would be more of a falsetto sound, even though I can't do falsetto, that's a head voice. With air in it, which I kind of use to pretend or get a falsetto sound with head voice. But this sounds like head voice going up into this space. And you'll be able to see in this performance from the Ed Sullivan Show that, you know, he starts hitting the floor. He's doing a lot of showmanship in this performance and the crowd react to that. The reason that I'm not showing the video footage from the Ed Sullivan Show is because unfortunately it gets blocked worldwide, so we can't look at it anyway. In one performance I saw him go up to a B5, something like that. So that's, I mean, that is well way and beyond, you know, that's obviously an octave almost within a semitone of being an octave above C5. Which is just crazy for all of those people that have watched the analysis videos in the past. The male tenor high C is a high note for guys. So yeah, thinking about hitting almost an octave higher than that, this is why it's just totally unique and standalone, is because this guy can get his voice up to that point. But with this tone, this female sound to his voice. So an interesting one to take a look at tonight, and I have looked into Tiny Tim and seen how popular he was over in the USA, and just the fact that he was a multi-instrumentalist and showed a lot of talent for music as a kid, and he was certainly encouraged to do that by his parents and his dad. So yeah, performed throughout his life, and sadly he was performing in 1996. And it was in September of 1996 that he had a heart attack and is performing at a ukulele festival. And obviously after that, the doctors told him to have a bit of time off. But he was back out there in November, so just a few months later, still in 1996. And he did say to his wife that he wasn't feeling too good before going out on stage, but he didn't want to let any of the people down that had stayed there to see him. So he did go out and perform. And it's actually during this song that we've had a look at, I mean the first one that we looked at, the Tiptoe Through the Tulips, that he had another heart attack, and when he was being helped off stage by his wife, sadly he lost consciousness and never did regain consciousness and died. So a very sad end and a sad story, but it really shows how much he gave to the public and gave to his fans, that he didn't want to let anybody down by not performing on that particular day. So yes, a sad end to the story, but certainly a unique artist, and one that I now know and definitely won't forget. And I suppose that is the point of being a unique artist, is to be memorable, and Tiny Tim certainly is that. So anyway, thank you guys for requesting this particular video for me to take a look at. As always, keep those suggestions and requests coming in the comment section below, and let me know what you guys think. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!